Hello and welcome to Lorraine's Pilates Shorts. Today's session is just a nice, gentle introductory session to Pilates. All you're going to need is a band and a block or a cushion of the same size. And we're just going to start off taking your band across your back and underneath your arms. And you're just going to hold it there, going to put a tiny little bit of resistance in that band, because we're going to focus on the breathing. So in Pilates, we breathe in through the nose and we breathe out through the mouth. And as you inhale, you're trying to breathe laterally. So if you can lift my elbows a little bit, you can see as I inhale, my ribs go nice and wide as I try to push out into that band. And then they release back down again as I exhale. So as you inhale, you're trying to let your ribs swing out wide, and then you release back down again as you exhale. So I want you just to do that a few more times. Getting used to those ribs expanding. And remember, this can take quite a bit of practice, but we try not to breathe shallow breath into the front of the chest, and we're trying not to breathe into your belly. And remember, you can also do this exercise sitting in a chair or standing if you prefer. So we're breathing in, breathing out, also avoiding breathing into those shoulders. But we're just going to add on to this a little bit of work for your pelvic floor muscles. So again, if you breathe in deep and wide, as you exhale, I want you to feel that you're going to pull up with the pelvic floor muscles and squeeze as though you're squeezing right up towards your navel. As you breathe in, you release the pelvic floor muscles, and again, you let those ribs swing out wide. So as you exhale, you draw up through with the pelvic floor muscles. And as you inhale and you release them down, you again let those ribs swing out to the side. Let's do that a couple more times. Drawing up with your pelvic floor. And releasing as you breathe deep and wide. One more time. Drawing up with the pelvic floor muscles, and then release them, letting those ribs swing out wide, and then we're just going to release that down. Remember, that can take a bit of practice, so you can practice that anytime you wish. But from now, we're going to come down onto the mat. You can see I've got a little pad underneath my head. Some people might need that little extra lift to lengthen through the back of the neck. Don't have to have it there. Sometimes it can just feel a little bit more comfortable. I want you to then align your body from your feet, your knees, and your hip bones. I want you to feel your upper back is nice and wide and heavy. And we're just going to let your arms release back down by your side. I want you to go back to the breathing we were just practicing. In through the nose and out through the mouth. And for the moment, again, feel those ribs swinging out wide. And as you exhale, feel the weight of your body sinking down a little bit deeper into the floor. So it's really about allowing your body to release. Breathing in and relaxing your body down into the floor. But we're going to add on to this. You're again going to breathe deep and wide, but as you exhale, I want you to tilt back through your pelvis so your lumbar spine gently presses into the mat. And then you're going to release, sit back through again to the middle. So as we exhale, we tilt back through the pelvis. And as you inhale, you release it back through to the middle. Let's do that twice more. So we're tilting back as we breathe out, and we breathe in to release it back through to the middle. We're going to do it one more time, so we get that little stretch through the back. But now, as you release back through to the middle, we're releasing into what we call neutral pelvis. So this pelvis should now be in a parallel position to the floor. You might even feel you've got a tiny little gap, or even just a feeling of release underneath that lumbar spine. Don't ever try and force it there, because you want this position to be comfortable. And there should be no tension around the front of your hips, no tension around your back. I want you to then place your fingertips lightly across your belly. And without moving the pelvis, we're again going to breathe in. And as you breathe out, I want you to try and draw your belly down and away from your fingertips. You feel that curling down. So you're trying to focus around your transverse abdominis muscles. And then you release again as you breathe in. So as you breathe out, try to draw your belly down and away from your fingertips. And again you release as you breathe in. Let's do that twice more, drawing down. And then releasing. One more time, we're going to draw it down. See if you can hold that contraction around your belly and continue to breathe. This is where this lateral breathing comes into play. Letting those ribs swing out wide so you can still hold that contraction around your centre. Again, can take a little bit of practice. Okay, let everything relax for the moment. Draw your fingertips then out a little bit wider so the fingertips are just resting on your hip bones. That is for you to be able to feel whether or not your pelvis is moving. Because what I don't want is your pelvis to be rocking side to side any more than I want it being rocking backwards and forwards. And we're going to do the knee drop. So if you can imagine you've got a full glass of water sitting right in the middle of your belly. As you exhale, we start to drop one knee to the side without spilling that water. And then you float it back to the middle as you inhale. As you exhale, you do the same with the other leg. Just dropping the knee to the side and floating it back to the middle. So we're breathing out to drop and breathing into centre. And if you're able to hold that pelvis nice and still, that means these muscles around your centre are working. Don't worry if you can't feel them working. They're having to do something if they're holding your pelvis in place. So you want to feel, as you're doing this exercise, that you're resting right in the middle of your pelvis. You're resting on your sacrum, that nice little flat piece of bone at the base of your spine. Let's just do that one more time on each side. And once you've finished your next one and you've brought it back to the middle, let's just give that back a little bit of a stretch by pulling the knees in towards your chest. You can flatten that back into the floor now. Bring the knees in and just very gently rock side to side. So you're just massaging around that lower back. Good. Let's bring the feet down, one after the other. Bring them back into your alignment. And we're going to go into shoulder bridge. Now, if you've got a big lift under your head, you might need to move it for this particular exercise. If you've got a very small one, you can keep it there. Arms are relaxed down beside you. And now as we exhale, we again tilt back through the pelvis, but now your whole spine sinks into the floor. And I want you to imagine you're going to peel up through from your spine as though you're being lifted up from your hip bones towards the ceiling. And you're going to come up to the bottom of your shoulder blades. And you hold it there. You breathe deep and wide, not into your belly. And you come back down again through the spine in reverse. And you lengthen back into that neutral position in your pelvis. So we breathe in and we breathe out. We tilt back through the pelvis, we sink the spine down, we slowly peel all the way up to the bottom of your shoulder blades. Hold it there to breathe in. Breathing out, releasing it back down one bone after the next. And lengthening it back through. Let's do it like that once more. Breathing out as we tilt and peel and roll. And remember, as you come up, you're trying to keep your knees aligned with the hip bones. Breathing in. Breathing out again to release it back down. It's a lovely, lovely stretch for your spine. We're going to do it 3 more times, but this time we're going to add some arm movement. So once you now get all the way to the top and you've lengthened through, you're going to use your in-breath to float your arms to the ceiling. You're going to leave the arms there as you release back down, coming all the way through and into your neutral, and then you float the arms back down again beside you as again you inhale. So it's the exhale to tilt and peel and roll all the way up into your bridge. Breathing in to float the arms to the ceiling, breathing out to release back down through the spine. And again, floating those arms back down beside you. Let's do that one more time. Tilting, peeling, all the way up into your bridge. Float your arms as you breathe in. But this time, you're going to come all the way back down through your spine. You're going to leave your arms reaching up to the ceiling. And what we're going to try and do is open up a little bit more across your upper back. So as you inhale, I want you to lift one arm a little higher and try and take your shoulder blade away from the floor. And then as you exhale, gently release it back down and feel it's almost spreading out across the mat. So we do the same on the other side. We lift the arm, we lift the shoulder blade away from the floor, and as we exhale, feel it spreading gently out a little wider to the outside edge of your mat. Let's do that one more time on each side. So you're reaching the arm, lifting the shoulder blade, let it melt down and open across that back. One more time. Lifting and again opening, melting down through the shoulder blade, and hopefully you can now feel that your shoulders and your upper back are now a little bit wider, a little bit closer to the floor, and we're going to then turn your palms to face forward. Now keeping your back nice and heavy, as you exhale, I want you to slowly start to float one arm behind you. You only take it as far as is comfortable because we're keeping a nice long gap between the bottom of your ear and the top of your shoulder. And then we float it back up to the ceiling again as we breathe in. And we do the same with the other arm, just slowly stretching it back, taking it as far as is comfortable for you. And again, reaching the arm up to the ceiling. Let's repeat that. Reaching it back, keeping the back heavy, keeping the rib cage soft. So we're not flaring the ribs up to the ceiling just because we're taking the arm back. Lovely stretch for your arm, for your shoulder. And the next time we do it, we can do it with both arms at the same time, just slowly stretching them back, keeping the elbows long but not locked. And again, floating up to the ceiling. So we're breathing out, reaching the arms back, breathing in to float these arms back up to the ceiling. One more time. Now on this one, take your arms as far back as you can comfortably go, not lifting the back, not lifting the ribs. And I want you to bend your elbows, and I'd like you to cradle the back of your head. Now, your head is nice and heavy in your hands, and your elbows are lifted enough to be in your peripheral vision. Now, we were talking about that pelvis in neutral. I want you to keep it in neutral for this next little exercise, which is just a little curl up. That's a curl up Pilates style. So as we exhale, with the head being heavy, we're going to lift the head with the hands away from the floor. You're going to lift the shoulders, and as you come up, feel as though you are drawing down with your rib cage towards your hips. You're not pushing the back into the floor, you're trying to keep that pelvis long. And then you release it back down again as you inhale. So as you exhale, you lift and squeeze, and then release it back down as you inhale. So we're going to lift and squeeze, release it down. Let's do 3 more of those. Lift and squeeze, drawing down. So you're feeling you're working not only your rectus abdominis, you're working your transverse abdominis as it's trying to keep strong to hold your pelvis in place. 1 more left to go. Lift and squeeze, and then gently relax it all the way down and release your arms back down beside you. Good. So I want you now to take hold of your block or your cushion, and we're going to place that in between your knees. That's it, good. So again, if you place your fingertips lightly onto your hip bones, that's so again you can feel for movement, which you're trying to avoid. And as we exhale, we're going to gently squeeze into your cushion, into your block, and add a little bit of work into your adductors, your inner thigh muscles. And then you're going to release again as you inhale. So as you exhale, you're going to squeeze. And as you squeeze, imagine you are drawing your hip bones together into the middle. And again, releasing as you breathe in. So as you breathe out, squeezing and drawing those hips into the centre. Obviously the hips won't really move, but it's that sense of, again, working around your middle. That's it, good. And we've got one more thing to add to this. Next time, you're going to squeeze gently into that block, and we're going to at the same time float 1 foot away from the floor and just lengthen through the back of the knee. Slide that leg back down. That's the easy bit. Changing to the other side, keeping that pelvis absolutely central and still is the hard of it. Bringing it back down again as you breathe in. So we squeeze and lengthen. And release it down. Squeeze and lengthen. So if you can imagine you've still got that full glass of water balanced right in the middle of your belly, hopefully you can start feeling that work around your centre, around those transverse abdominis muscles. That's it, good, lovely. 1 more time on each leg. Good, and relax it down. Lovely, we've just got 1 more little exercise to go. I want you to draw your feet together. You might want to bring them also a little tiny bit closer in towards your bottom. If you slide your hands up a little higher and let them rest onto your rib cage, that way you keep an eye on those ribs and make sure they don't flare up to the ceiling. And we're going to go into hip roll. You're going to keep your feet glued together, and we breathe in to prepare. As you breathe out, we start to drop those knees over to one side. Your head will roll in the opposite direction, and we start to get a bit of a stretch around the top of the hip and around the side. Hold it there, breathe in, and as you breathe out, you just float everything back to the centre. So you're breathing in, breathing out, dropping the knees, rolling the head, taking it as far as is comfortable, hold it there to breathe in, and breathing out again to float it back to the middle. And what's important on this exercise is that when you take the legs over, you do not lift your shoulder blades away from the floor. The shoulder blades stay down the whole way through. Breathing in, breathing out. And again, breathing in and breathing out. And bringing it back to the centre. Once you have finished your final one, We're just going to remove the cushion, the block from between your knees, and just bring those knees one after the other in towards your chest. And again, just give everything a little bit of a stretch. Good. And we're just going to finish off here with a little bit of a stretch for the back of your leg, your hamstring. So I want you to take your band and you're going to place your band underneath your foot. Remember, you can always use a belt if you don't have a band. And we're going to lengthen the leg gently up and away from you. Now we're trying to get most of the stretch into the back of that thigh. And if you're finding you're only feeling the stretch at the back of your knee, or maybe even just into your calf muscles, if you bend the knee a little bit more, you can put it a little closer in, and hopefully it will take that stretch a little higher up. Whatever way you're doing it, make sure you don't lock out that knee. You're just holding it there and breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. That's it, good, lovely. And we're going to release the leg down and we're going to swap it over onto the other side. So the other foot comes into the band and again we lengthen the leg up and away, trying to get that stretch all the way through the back of the leg, but particularly around the hamstrings. And you just hold it there and breathe. Good, lovely. And just release that down. Pop your band to the side. Let's bring both knees back in towards the chest. And with the hands on the top of your knees, I just want you to try to make a little circle into the floor with your lower back. So you can use the hands around the knees just to move all the way around, so we get a little massage all the way around. Let's go back in the other direction. Just rolling it round. And rolling it round. And you're going to bring your final one all the way back through to the middle. Bring the feet back down onto the floor, one after the other. Just want you to drop your knees to one side, roll your body the same way, and let your hands press you up into a seated position. Good, well done.